Welcome to Heaven, Backed, where faith meets motivation and every struggle becomes a step towards strength. Chosen one, you were told to watch alone for a reason. Chosen one, stop everything. Right now, stop scrolling. Stop the multitasking. Stop splitting your attention between this and anything else. Before you hear anything else, take a breath and let your heart be still for a moment. This message is not coming to accuse you, rush you, or make you afraid. It is coming because God cares too deeply about you to remain silent. There are seasons when heaven speaks softly to comfort us, and there are seasons when heaven speaks firmly to protect us. If you feel a quiet stirring inside, a sense that this is for you, it's not by accident. God knows exactly where you are, what you've been praying about, and the weight you've been carrying in silence. You have loved deeply. You have hoped honestly. You have waited longer than you ever thought you would. And somewhere along the way, you learned that not every connection that feels good leads to something good. You learned that some smiles hide intentions, and some promises sound holy, but leave you uneasy. This message is for the one who has been trying to balance faith with feelings, obedience with longing, and wisdom with a heart that just wants rest. God sees that tension. He sees the late-night thoughts, the quiet prayers, the moments when you asked Him for a sign because you didn't want to make the same mistake again. This is not about fear. This is about love, the kind of love that warns before harm, that pauses you before pain, that speaks when your heart is tempted to move faster than your spirit. God is inviting you to listen closely, not with anxiety, but with trust. Because when He speaks a warning, it is never to take something from you. It is always to protect what He has placed within you. Because God knows that when emotions settle in too deeply, logic begins to whisper instead of speak, and discernment has to fight just to be heard. That is why He interrupts patterns early. That is why He disrupts comfort zones. That is why He sends warnings before wounds. You are not imagining this pause. You are not overthinking this hesitation. You are not too spiritual for feeling uneasy. You are spiritually alert. There is a difference between attraction and assignment, and too many people confuse chemistry with calling. Chemistry is instant. Assignment is intentional. Chemistry excites the flesh. Assignment strengthens the spirit. Chemistry says, I feel something. Assignment says, I see purpose. And God is saying, don't let what feels good distract you from what is God. This man may admire your strength, but does he understand your discipline? He may compliment your faith, but does he submit to authority? He may enjoy your prayers, but does he live by conviction when no one is watching? Because what a man celebrates publicly but contradicts privately will eventually bring tension into your life. The Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, James 1:8. Instability is not something you pray away in marriage. It is something you discern before commitment. God is warning you because this man is comfortable with shallow depth. He can talk, but he cannot carry weight. He can speak promises, but he struggles with responsibility. And when pressure comes, he escapes instead of stands. Life will test every relationship. Storms don't ask for permission. Trials don't check compatibility. And if a man collapses under small pressure now, he will retreat under greater pressure later. Chosen one, you are not difficult. You are discerning. You are not cold. You are careful. You are not demanding. You are defined. You know who you are, and that clarity intimidates insecure people. That's why some men try to rush intimacy, because speed reduces discernment. That's why they push closeness, because closeness without clarity creates attachment before evaluation. God is saying, slow down. Slowing down is not losing opportunity. Slowing down is gaining vision. Every relationship that is from God can withstand time. What is rushed often hides something. What is pressured often fears exposure. When Isaac married Rebekah, it was arranged with prayer, counsel, and confirmation. Genesis 24 was not about romance first. It was about purpose first. Love followed alignment. God is warning you because this man wants access to your heart before he has proven stewardship. And access without stewardship leads to abuse, even if it starts unintentionally. People mishandle what they don't know how to value. That's why God doesn't release certain blessings until character is ready. It's not delay, it's development. Some of you are thinking, but what if I'm wrong? What if I miss out? Listen, what is truly from God cannot miss you. Purpose is not fragile. Destiny is not late. What is meant for you will not require you to betray your peace to obtain it. Jesus never chased crowds. He walked in purpose, and alignment followed him. God is warning you because this man mirrors familiarity, not future. He reminds you of something you've already survived. Same patterns, different face. Same emotional rhythm, new vocabulary. And familiarity can feel like comfort, even when it's destructive. That's why God sometimes removes people who feel right, but aren't right for where you're going. Lot's wife looked back because familiarity still had her heart. And looking back cost her movement. Genesis 19 is a reminder that hesitation in obedience can freeze progress. God is saying, don't look back at what I already delivered you from. This warning is also about timing. Even good people can be wrong people if the timing is off. David was anointed king long before he sat on the throne. Timing matters, and forcing alignment before maturity produces conflict instead of covenant. Saul tried to operate in authority without obedience, and it cost him the kingdom. 1 Samuel 15. Authority without submission always leads to loss. God is warning you because you are entering a season where clarity will be critical. You are stepping into influence, visibility, and responsibility. And relationships in this season must add strength, not distraction. The wrong connection will drain your energy, cloud your judgment, and make you question yourself. The right connection will bring peace, confirmation, and growth. Pay attention to how you feel after conversations with him. Do you feel closer to God or further from him? Do you feel encouraged or emotionally exhausted? Do you feel respected or pressured? The Holy Spirit often speaks through patterns, not just moments. God is warning you because this man listens to your words but ignores your boundaries. He hears you, but he doesn't honor you. And honoring boundaries is a sign of respect, not distance. Jesus respected people's choices even when it cost him followers. Rich young ruler walked away, and Jesus let him go, Matthew 19. Love does not manipulate. Love does not coerce. Love does not guilt. If someone tries to make you feel guilty for protecting your peace, that is control disguised as affection. God is saying, don't negotiate your convictions for companionship. Loneliness is painful, but compromise is more expensive. Loneliness is a season. Compromise becomes a cycle. Some of you have been praying for clarity, and this warning is the answer. You asked God to reveal truth early. You asked him to protect your heart. You asked him not to let you repeat past mistakes. And now he is answering, not with fireworks, but with restraint, not with drama, but with discernment. Don't ignore the answer just because it doesn't come the way you expected. God is warning you because this man wants you to be his source instead of his partner. He draws strength from you, but he doesn't replenish you. He leans, but he doesn't lead. And partnership requires mutual strength, not one-sided support. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, "A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken." God must be the center, not the afterthought. If you are constantly pulling someone toward God, ask yourself who is pulling you. If you are always explaining your standards, ask yourself why they are not already shared. If you are shrinking your needs to keep peace, that peace is temporary and costly. God is warning you because you are not called to save anyone through relationship. Salvation is God's job. Support is human. but carrying someone's spiritual responsibility will exhaust you. Jesus didn't marry the Samaritan woman to heal her. He spoke truth, offered living water, and let transformation follow obedience. You are not meant to be a rehabilitation center. You are meant to be a companion to someone who is already walking in accountability. Some of you feel torn because you see potential, but potential without discipline is just imagination. Potential without obedience is just delay. God is not impressed by what someone could become. He is concerned with who they are choosing to be. This warning is also about identity. When you know who you are, you don't settle for who is unsure. When you understand your worth, you don't beg for consistency. When you are rooted, you don't chase. God is saying, trust me enough to walk away when I say no, even if your heart says wait. Trust me enough to believe that I see what you cannot see yet. Isaiah 55:8 reminds us that His thoughts are higher than ours, His ways higher than ours. Higher doesn't mean harder. It means clearer. You are not behind. You are being protected. And protection sometimes feels like loss until you realize what you were spared from. This warning is not the end of something good. It is the prevention of something painful. And one day you will look back and thank God for the uneasiness you didn't ignore, for the voice you chose to obey, for the strength you found to say no when yes would have been easier. Because obedience is never wasted. It always pays forward. And right now, God is asking you to pause, to listen, to trust Him beyond your emotions, beyond pressure, beyond fear of missing out, beyond the opinions of others, and to remember that He is not trying to take something from you. He is trying to preserve you, to prepare you, to position you for a relationship that does not require you to silence your convictions, question your worth, or wrestle with your peace, because what He has planned will arrive with clarity, consistency, and confirmation. And until then, He will continue to speak, to warn, to guide, to protect, and to remind you that being chosen does not mean being rushed. It means being led, step by step, with wisdom, with patience, with courage, and with the confidence that when God says, "Be careful," it is because He is already guarding what matters most. Because guarding what matters most also means guarding your obedience when it is inconvenient, when it isolates you, when it makes you look unreasonable to people who do not carry your calling. God is not asking you to be popular. He is asking you to be preserved. And preservation often looks like separation before it looks like celebration. You have to understand that warning is one of God's highest forms of love. Hebrews 12 reminds us that whom the Lord loves, He corrects. Correction is not rejection. Redirection is not punishment. Sometimes God blocks a relationship not because it is evil, but because it is early. Sometimes He removes someone not because they are wrong, but because they are not ready. And sometimes He warns you because sanctifying would slowly erode what He spent years building in you. You didn't survive what you survived just to lose discernment now. Think about Joseph. Potiphar's wife was not a stranger. She was familiar. She was persistent. She was convincing. She offered secrecy. But Joseph understood that momentary pleasure could never be worth permanent consequence. Genesis 39 says, He ran. He didn't negotiate. He didn't explain. He didn't stay to see how close he could get without falling. He ran. And sometimes the most spiritual response is not prayer. It's distance. God is warning you because the man He is cautioning you about thrives in ambiguity. He likes undefined spaces where accountability is low and emotions are high. He avoids clear commitment but enjoys deep connection, and ambiguity benefits the person who wants control without responsibility. God is not a God of confusion. He speaks plainly. He leads clearly. He does not leave his children guessing when it comes to matters of destiny. Chosen one, you were never designed to chase clarity from another human. Clarity comes from God. Some of you have been explaining your standards repeatedly, hoping they will eventually be respected. But standards are not negotiable terms, they are filters. The right man will not ask you to lower them, he will rise to meet them. The wrong man will test them, stretch them, and slowly try to redefine them until you no longer recognize yourself. That is why God is warning you now. Because the enemy's goal is not always to pull you into obvious sin. Sometimes his goal is to pull you into subtle compromise. A little silence here, a small excuse there, a boundary softened just this once. But company, promise never stays small. It grows quietly until one day you realize you are far from where you intended to be. The Bible says in Song of Solomon 2:15, "It's the little foxes that spoil the vineyard, not the lions, not the storms, the little foxes, the unchecked patterns, the overlooked behaviors, the warnings you felt but dismissed because you didn't want to start over again." God knows you're tired of starting over. He knows you're tired of letting go. He knows you want rest. But rest cannot be built on misalignment. Peace cannot coexist with constant inner conflict. And God is saying, don't choose temporary relief over lasting stability. You are not running out of time. You are being refined for timing. Some of you think obedience means you will end up alone. That is a lie. Obedience positions you for alignment. Elijah thought he was alone, but God told him there were still thousands who had not bowed, 1 Kings 19. Isolation is often preparation, not abandonment. God sometimes removes noise so you can hear him clearly again. This warning is also about voice. God is sharpening your ability to hear him. Every time you obey a warning, your discernment becomes clearer. Every time you ignore one, it becomes harder to hear the next. Spiritual sensitivity is strengthened through obedience, not emotion. God is warning you because the next season of your life will require unity, not tension, agreement, not resistance, support, not competition. And the man he sends will not be intimidated by your prayer life, your discipline, or your depth. He will not feel threatened by your growth. He will not mock what matters to you. He will not rush what God is still shaping. The man will come with peace, not pressure, with consistency, not confusion, with vision, not vagueness. Some of you are asking God to change this man, but God is saying, I am trying to change your direction. You are praying for transformation when God is offering transition, and you must be careful not to idolize potential over obedience. You are not responsible for someone else's growth. You are responsible for your response. Jesus loved people deeply, but he did not let everyone follow him closely. He had crowds, disciples, and an inner circle. Access was intentional, and you must learn that love does not require unlimited access. Even Jesus withdrew. Even Jesus said no. Even Jesus honored boundaries. God is warning you because this man has access to your emotions, but not accountability for your future. And emotions without covenant create attachment without security. That is why God designed order. Courtship before commitment, commitment before intimacy, covenant before union. When order is reversed, pain follows. You are not old-fashioned for honoring God's design. You are wise. Some of you are afraid that if you walk away, you'll miss your chance. But obedience never disqualifies you from God's best. Disobedience delays it. Saul spared what God told him to destroy, and it cost him the throne. Partial obedience is still disobedience, and delayed obedience is still delay. God is warning you because he sees what this connection would demand from you emotionally. He sees the anxiety it would create, the self-doubt it would awaken, the way you would begin to question your worth. And he is saying, that is not how love should feel. Perfect love casts out fear, 1 John 4:18. If fear is increasing, love is not leading. This is not about being suspicious. It's about being submitted. Submission is trusting God's voice even when your heart wants to argue, even when your mind wants to rationalize, even when your flesh wants to hold on. Submission says, God, I trust you more than I trust my feelings. And feelings change. God does not. You have prayed too hard, grown too much, healed too deeply to ignore discernment now. This is not the time to second-guess your growth. This is the time to honor it. The fact that you can sense this warning means you are not who you used to be. You are more aware, more grounded, more led. God is warning you because He intends to bless you in a way that requires emotional availability, spiritual unity, and mutual trust. And the wrong relationship would leave you guarded instead of open, drained instead of strengthened, distracted instead of focused. So He speaks now not to scare you, not to rush you, but to steady you, to remind you that you are not alone in this decision, that heaven is involved, that angels are assigned, that prayers you forgot you prayed are still being answered, that God is not silent, He is precise. And if you choose obedience here, even when it costs you emotionally, even when it feels like loss, even when it hurts to let go of what could have been, God will replace that ache with peace, that confusion with clarity, that disappointment with direction, and that empty space with preparation, because He is not finished speaking, not finished guiding, not finished shaping what is next, and He will continue to lead you step by step, conversation by conversation, choice by choice, until your discernment becomes confidence, your obedience becomes testimony, and your waiting becomes alignment with everything He has already ordained ahead of you. Because alignment does not announce itself with noise, it settles into your spirit with assurance. It doesn't rush you, it roots you. It doesn't confuse you, it clarifies you. And God is saying, learn to recognize the difference between excitement that fades and peace that stays. Excitement demands constant stimulation. Peace remains even when nothing is happening. Chosen one, you must stop interpreting discomfort as a sign to push harder. Sometimes discomfort is a sign to pause. The Holy Spirit is gentle, but He is persistent. He nudges before He shouts. He warns before He allows consequences. And if you feel that repeated inner check, that quiet resistance, that subtle tightening in your spirit, don't ignore it just because the person looks good on paper. Paper can lie. Patterns don't. This man may say he wants a future, but does he prepare for one? He may talk about building, but does he finish what he starts? He may speak about faith, but does he live submitted when no one is clapping? God is not impressed by charisma. Heaven responds to character, and character is revealed under pressure, not in presentation. God is warning you because He sees how much of yourself you give when you love. You don't love halfway. You don't show up halfway. You don't commit halfway. And that is beautiful, but it is also dangerous if given to the wrong person. You are not meant to pour into someone who treats your devotion like a convenience. Jesus poured Himself out, but only where there was hunger, humility, and honor. Some of you are holding on to this connection because you don't want to disappoint anyone. You don't want to look foolish. You don't want to explain why it didn't work. But obedience sometimes requires disappointing people to honor God. Galatians 1:10 asks a hard question. Are you trying to please people or God? Because you cannot do both when they are leading in opposite directions. God is warning you because this man knows how to pull at your compassion. He knows your heart. He knows your empathy. He knows how to present brokenness in a way that makes you want to rescue him. But compassion without boundaries leads to entanglement, not healing. You can care without carrying. You can love without losing yourself. Jesus healed people, but he didn't follow them home. This warning is also about identity. God has been rebuilding your sense of self, teaching you to say no without guilt, teaching you to walk away without explaining yourself to everyone, teaching you that peace is not negotiable. And now that growth is being tested, not by hardship, but by opportunity. Because opportunity is often the real test of maturity. God is warning you because this man benefits from your presence more than he contributes to your future. And relationships are not meant to be extraction zones. They are meant to be ecosystems, mutual, balanced, life-giving. When one person is always giving and the other is always receiving, resentment grows quietly, and resentment destroys intimacy. Some of you feel spiritually dry lately, and you don't know why. Check what you are connected to. Samson didn't lose his strength overnight. It left gradually while he slept. Judges 16:20 says, "He didn't even know the Lord had left him." That is the danger of ignoring warnings. Loss happens quietly. God is saying, Don, sleep through this moment. You are not paranoid for noticing inconsistencies. You are perceptive. You are not cold for pulling back. You are cautious. You are not heartless for choosing wisdom. You are faithful. Faith is not blind. Faith is obedient. This man may promise change, but change that is motivated by fear of loss rarely lasts. True change comes from conviction, not pressure. If he only grows when you threaten to leave, that growth is conditional. And conditional growth collapses when comfort returns. God is warning you because he wants you to experience love that doesn't require ultimatums. Love that doesn't keep you guessing. Love that doesn't test your boundaries to see how much you'll tolerate. Love that shows up the same on good days and hard days. Consistency is not boring, it's safe. Some of you think you need passion to feel alive, but peace is what allows you to build. Passion burns fast, peace builds slow, and God is a builder. He thinks generationally, he thinks legacy, he thinks beyond chemistry into covenant. This warning is not about denying you joy, it's about protecting your future joy. God is warning you because he sees that this man wants proximity without responsibility. He wants closeness without covering. And covering requires sacrifice. Leadership requires accountability. Headship requires humility. If he avoids responsibility now, marriage will magnify that avoidance later. Marriage doesn't fix character, it exposes it. Some of you are holding on to words he spoke in emotional moments, but words spoken in emotion must be backed by actions and discipline. Anyone can speak beautifully when they feel inspired. Few can live consistently when it requires effort. God is saying, watch what he does when it costs him something. This warning is also about timing your heart. You are in a season of rebuilding trust with God, with yourself, with people. And rushing intimacy right now could reopen wounds you just finished healing. God is not trying to slow you down to frustrate you. He is trying to steady you so you don't fall again. He remembers the nights you cried. He remembers the prayers you whispered when you said, Lord, never again. And he is honoring those prayers now. God is warning you because he intends to elevate you. And elevation always attracts distraction before promotion. David was tempted by Bathsheba after victory, not before it. 2 Samuel 11 didn't happen when David was struggling. It happened when he was successful. That's when guard must be highest. You are not wrong for wanting love. You are not weak for desiring companionship. God created connection. He values partnership, but he refuses to bless compromise. He refuses to build covenant on confusion. Some of you are afraid to let go because you fear silence, but silence with God is better than noise with the wrong person. In silence, God speaks. In chaos, discernment drowns. God is warning you because he wants your yes to be powerful, not desperate. Your yes should come from wholeness, not fear, from confidence, not pressure, from discernment, not exhaustion. You don't need to rush to be chosen, you already are. And the man God sends will recognize that without trying to own you. He will honor your independence while inviting partnership. He will protect your peace while building vision. He will not rush your process because he respects God's timing. Until then, God is asking you to trust him enough to walk away when something feels off, even if it looks right, even if it sounds spiritual, even if others don't understand, even if it costs you emota. Only because obedience now is preparing you for a future that requires strength, clarity, and unity, and God will continue to guide you, to warn you, to correct you, to protect you, and to shape your discernment until you no longer question his voice in moments like this, but move with confidence, patience, and peace, knowing that every step you take in obedience is moving you closer to what he has already prepared, and that this warning is not an ending, but a guarding, not a loss, but a positioning, not a denial, but a delay that carries purpose, direction, and divine intention. And as you keep listening, keep obeying, keep trusting, he will keep speaking, keep leading, keep covering, and keep unfolding what is next in ways that will one day make complete sense. Even if right now all he is asking is that you pause, breathe, listen, and choose him again, right here, right now. Even as the journey continues forward into the next unfolding moment, where your obedience today is quietly shaping the safety, strength, and clarity of everything that is still to come, and where your willingness to heed this warning is becoming the foundation for a future that will not require you to question your worth, your peace, or your God. Because questioning your worth is never part of God's design, and any relationship that slowly chips away at your confidence is already misaligned with heaven. God does not build through erosion. He builds through affirmation, through truth, through stability, and he is reminding you that love from him never leaves you smaller than when you entered it. Chosen one, there is a reason this warning feels heavy. It's not condemnation, it's responsibility. When you are entrusted with more, you are required to see more. Babies touch fire because they don't know better. Adults pull back because they understand consequence. Maturity is not about age, it's about awareness. And God is saying, you see more now. You sense more now. You know better now. So don't betray your own discernment trying to protect someone else's feelings. Some of you have been asking God for confirmation, but he has already given it through repetition. The same concerns keep resurfacing. The same issues keep appearing in different forms, different conversations, same outcome, different promises, same inconsistency. Confirmation doesn't always come as a new sign. Sometimes it comes as a repeated pattern you keep hoping will change. Jesus said in Luke 16:10, "Whoever is faithful with little will be faithful with much." If someone mishandles small commitments, large ones will not suddenly transform them. Marriage does not introduce responsibility, it reveals capacity. Covenant magnifies character. And God is warning you before magnification happens. This is not about judging him. This is about protecting you. God is warning you because you are learning to choose principle over pressure. Pressure says hurry before you lose it. Principle says wait because what is yours cannot miss you. Pressure manipulates urgency. Principle honors timing. And God always works in seasons, never in panic. Some of you are struggling because you've invested emotionally already. You've shared dreams, you've opened wounds, you've prayed together, and now pulling back feels like ripping something out of your chest. But obedience sometimes hurts before it heals. Surgery is painful, but it saves lives. God is not cruel for asking you to let go. He is kind for asking you now instead of later. This man may not be evil, but he is unequipped, and unequipped people cause damage without intending to. They drop what they don't know how to carry. They mishandle what they don't know how to steward. And you cannot afford to be collateral damage to someone else's immaturity. God is warning you because your heart is not common. It is not cheap. It is not easily repaired. Proverbs 25 says, "The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters." Deep waters require skill to navigate. Not everyone is equipped to go deep without drowning. Chosen one, stop apologizing for depth to people who live on the surface. Some of you feel guilty because he has shared his struggles, his pain, his past, and you don't want to abandon him. But you are not abandoning him by obeying God. You are refusing to replace God in his life. You cannot heal what you did not break. You cannot carry what you were never assigned. Jesus healed many, but he didn't stay everywhere. He moved when the Father said move. And sometimes obedience means leaving someone at a crossroads where God can deal with them directly. God is warning you because the man he sends will not need to be convinced to grow. Growth will already be part of his discipline. He will not rely on you to keep him aligned. He will already be accountable. He will already be submitted. He will already be becoming. Alignment doesn't feel like work. It feels like agreement. Some of you are confusing intensity with intimacy. Intensity feels deep quickly. Intimacy builds deep slowly. Intensity burns hot and fast. Intimacy is steady and secure. Intensity can exist without trust. Intimacy cannot. God is warning you because intensity without foundation collapses under pressure. Pay attention to how this man handles correction. Does he listen or does he deflect? Does he reflect or does he blame? Proverbs 12:1 says, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is foolish." Correction reveals maturity faster than compliments ever will. God is warning you because he sees future conversations you would have to endure. Arguments rooted in misunderstanding, conflicts born from misalignment, tears caused by unmet expectations, and he loves you too much to let you walk into that knowingly. This is not about being perfect, it's about being prepared. Some of you are holding on to hope because you're afraid of disappointment. But hope that ignores truth becomes denial. Biblical hope is anchored in truth, not fantasy. Romans 5:5 says, "Hope does not disappoint, but only when it is rooted in God, not people." God is warning you because you are learning to trust him more than your loneliness. And loneliness can be loud. It can convince you to accept crumbs just to feel seen. But crumbs were never meant for kings and daughters of the king. You don't need someone just to be there. You need someone who can stand there, with you, for you, under God. This warning is also about your voice. God has been teaching you to listen inwardly, not externally, to trust the quiet knowing instead of the loud persuasion, to value peace over proof, and this moment is strengthening that muscle. Every time you obey discernment, you become harder to deceive. God is warning you because this man mirrors what you use. To tolerate, not what you are becoming. And if you go backward emotionally, it will cost you momentum spiritually. Growth requires alignment with where you're headed, not attachment to where you've been. Remember Lot again. He pitched his tent near Sodom before he lived in it. Proximity came before compromise. Genesis shows us that you don't fall suddenly, you drift gradually. God is interrupting drift. Some of you feel embarrassed that you're even here again. You promised yourself you'd never ignore red flags again, and now you feel like you're repeating history. But don't confuse awareness with failure. Awareness means growth. The fact that you see it now is proof that you're not who you were. God is warning you because he sees you maturing. And maturity requires harder decisions. This man may want you, but does he value what wanting requires? Desire is cheap. Responsibility is costly. Love pays prices. It sacrifices comfort. It chooses commitment over convenience. And anything that avoids cost will eventually avoid responsibility. God is saying, don't confuse pursuit with provision. Some of you are afraid that obedience will lead to emptiness, but obedience always creates space for clarity, for healing, for preparation. Empty spaces are not punishment, they are preparation zones. God fills what He empties. He is warning you because He is making room for peace that doesn't fluctuate, for love that doesn't confuse, for partnership that doesn't drain, for alignment that doesn't require constant prayer just to survive. You shouldn't have to pray just to endure a relationship. Prayer should strengthen love, not hold it together. God is warning you because He wants your next yes to come from strength, not survival, from wholeness, not healing wounds, from vision, not desperation. And even though walking away feels heavy, even though pausing feels lonely, even though obedience feels costly right now, God is asking you to trust that He is not removing joy. He is refining it, shaping it, protecting it from contamination, and guiding you into a future where love does not feel like anxiety, where peace does not feel temporary, where connection does not feel like compromise, and where you will one day look back on this warning not with regret, but with gratitude, understanding that this moment of restraint was the moment God was quietly building the strength, clarity, and wisdom you will need for everything that is still unfolding ahead. Chosen one, let this settle in your spirit gently but firmly. God's warning is not a rejection of your desire for love. It is a confirmation of your worth. He is not withholding goodness from you. He is safeguarding it. Every pause, every inner check, every moment of restraint has been an act of divine care, shaping you to recognize the difference between what feels close and what is truly aligned. Trust that the God who speaks to you now is the same God who orders your steps, who redeems your waiting, and who never asks you to let go without already holding something greater ahead. Walk forward with courage, not fear, with obedience, not regret, with peace, not pressure. Because when God warns, it is always because He sees further than you do, loves you deeper than you know, and is leading you toward a future where love will not confuse you, compromise you, or cost you your peace, but will meet you in clarity, honor, and divine timing, exactly as He promised.